What up, D-League? It's going to be a quick preview this week. I'm in the middle of a move and it's tough to get the time to do this. But I did want to have a preview this week because we did have an interview, so I want to make sure I got it done. I do want to give you guys a heads up. Next week there's not going to be a preview. I'm going to be actually moving on the day that I would do this stuff typically, so I've got to do that. But if somebody wants to step in and do a guest preview, I'll work with them to help make that happen. Just get with me. So anyways, let's get started. Let's take a look now at our picks.
No, I'm not a well-decorated sea captain who battles monsters on a large nautical vessel.
Shh, don't tell my nose that.
Knocked out another 3-2 last week, no big deal. Realize I'm still terrible at picking myself, and I clearly underestimated how bad Travis has the potential to be. Hopefully the next week I can do a little better, maybe pull it into a 4-1, maybe another 5-0. Let's take a look now at this week's interview.
Obla-dee, obla-da, life goes on, la-la-la, how the life goes on. Obla-dee, obla-da, life goes on, la-la-la, how the life goes on.
So Colin, you're coming in off a big win over Jamie, which made you tied with him for second place. How easy was that win for you?
Oh, hey there. If you're wondering how I beat Jamie last week, it's because I ask a lot of the hard fantasy football questions to young Jamie. This frame sits in my desk at work, and whenever I come up with some hard who to start, who to trade, that's always a good one, I ask young Jamie at work. And then when I'm not at work and I get a tough question, I like to go to my friend Wallet Size Jamie. He really helps me. Oh, and I traded for Steven Jackson also. That helped me beat him.
All right, Colin, so you've made a lot of questionable moves in your fantasy day. Is there anybody in particular you missed the most? Any running backs, perhaps?
That's a great question, Jason. I've made a lot of moves in my day. Not all the best. Some pretty poor. But honestly, I can't think of anyone that I would want back or that I've missed.
Very subtle. Alright, so two of the smartest motherfuckers of all time square off this week. Currently, Nate's projected to beat you. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
Nate was, in fact, projected to beat me before I picked up LaDainian Tomlinson and inserted him into my lineup. I'm now favored to win by 2 points, 92-90. But I think really win or lose this week, overall, I think I'm the real winner because it's always good when a new guy can come in and take the title of League Retard away from you.
All right, Colin, as last year's General Manager of the Year, according to Jamie, what advice do you have for those struggling GMs like Travis and Sean who are trying to follow in your footsteps?
I was the GM of the Year last year, according to Jamie. And if not for my one dumbass move in the title game, I would be rolling around with the trophy and a Michigan shirt, laugh my ass off at him. But as is, he does that to me. Cue it, play it.
Mario Manningham.
And any advice I have for Travis or Sean? Travis, he's starting to build a pretty nice team, but running back's not really sure what he's doing, getting the backups of backups, I think. Not really sure there. And Sean, he has good running backs, but poor wide receivers, I would say. Isn't that guy a child molester also? Not really sure. But Travis, as my good friend Fred Flintstone would say, yabba dabba doo, motherfuckers.
All right, and last question for you, Colin. What makes your team so good?
Why is my team so good? Could be my young running backs. DMC, Matthews, they're pretty good. Young receivers, D-Jax, Percy. But really, I think it's what's in this box that makes my team the best. I'm sure you guys want to see still? I know you guys do. This is this guy, Mike Vick. How good are you guys at third round picks? Just saying. Just saying. Also, James, I love cupcakes a lot. Love them a lot. And I bet, David, you thought you were going to see my penis, but you're not going to see it, sorry.
Well, Colin, thanks for being on the show, and thank you for not showing us your penis. Let's take a look now at the rapist of the week.
I've been really trying, baby, trying to hold back this feeling for so long. And if you feel like I feel, baby, then come on. Oh, come on. Woo! Let's get it on.
Alright, our rapist of the week this week is Colin. Not only because I wanted to put up another picture of him, but also because he knocked off Jamie in impressive fashion. He took home a 21-point win from last year's champ, but I'm sure Jamie's not bitter at all. Let's take a look at our biggest loser.
Bitch, I'm about to ball this.
I have an IQ of 48 and am what some people call mentally retarded.
He was a retard.
I'm a driver. I'm a winner. Things are gonna change. I can feel it.
Only reason I'm crying is because of the adrenaline.
Alright, our biggest loser of the week this week is James. Anybody who saw how pathetic the matchup was last week between James and I, pretty much the loser had to be the loser of the week. Unfortunately for James, that's going to end up being him, but neither of us really deserve to win. Let's take a look now at our previews. Alright, first up we got Mind Grapes taking on Mavericks. Oh yeah, the time has finally come for the streak to end. Much like how the Colin and Jamie upset was a perfect storm, this week it's a perfect storm for me. Rivers has done everything he can to convince me he needs to sit on the bench this week, and him taking on Green Bay was just what I needed to put it over the edge. I look across the bench and I see Eli Manning taking on the worst pass defense in the NFL right now. Dan's got Stafford and Calvin Johnson out on a bye. Joe Flacco's taking on Pittsburgh as a replacement for him. Des Bryant and Miles Austin are going to battle it out for catches. And Vincent Jackson's going to continue to disappoint me, probably as much as DeBar Gaffney is going to disappoint Dan. So basically, Fitz and Colston is really what it comes down to here. And one of those two is going to push us over the edge. On the running back side, though, I really like the matchup of McCoy and Wells. And Wells is taking on a terrible rush defense as long as he can stay healthy. Dan's going to try to squeak Michael Bush in there to help out with Forte. Honestly, I like my chances here. I think Wells is exactly what I need to push me over the edge here, as long as he can stay healthy throughout this game. On a normal week, I've got no business knocking off Dan. But this week? Well, this week's better than Pretzel Week. I like Pretzel Week. Alright, next up we got Rainbow Warriors taking on KC Reunited. Sean's bringing the good Patriots quarterback, while Dave's bringing Castle, the shitty ex-Patriot quarterback. At wide receiver, it feels like it's almost a wash. Sean's bringing Stevie Johnson, AJ Green, and Deion Branch. Dave's bringing Mario Manningham, Roddy White, and some mystery shitty wide receiver that he has not yet picked. The only thing that I really feel swings it back to Dave here is the fact that Sean's taking on a really tough matchup for his running backs. One of them's got the Steelers, and the other one's got Baltimore. If Turner and Green Ellis can just turn in normal to good days, this should be enough for Dave to get it. Against my better judgment, I'm going to say that Dave's going to end up pulling out this win. Next up we have Blackbeard's Delight taking on Team Disenfranchised. Poor Trav. Goes through all that effort to make a move for Fred Jackson, with hopes of turning his season around, and the gods slap him back down into his place. A loss this week could be a fatality on his spirit.
Finish him! Shang Tsung wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
One look at his lineup and you'll see his top wide receiver and his quarterback are both taking on Baltimore this week. Holmes is taking on a decent pass defense in Buffalo, and then you've also got the Jets in there as well. Things could be better for Trav. The jury's still out on Murray. He went from having the game of most players' lives to having a very pedestrian outing against Philadelphia. I think this week could answer a lot of people's questions. If he comes out and blows up against Seattle, that's all she wrote for Trav. If that turns out to be the case, you should probably add Travis Johnson to your Google alerts. As shitty as James' team is, I don't think it's shitty enough to lose to Travis's team. Travis drawing some pretty crazy defenses this week. I think that's going to make the difference in what allows James to win this crappy matchup. Alright, next up we have multiple scoregasms taking on Black C3PO. This week Jamie tries to rise above being tied for second place and takes on the shittier of the 2, 3, and 5 teams. Jamie's team has had its struggles, but if it loses to a squad that fields Victor Cruz, Jordy Nelson, and Twan Jones, I'm going to pretty much just ask Kylie to poison his food and end this before he ends up in a bell tower taking people out. The only real chink in his armor, believe it or not, is Chris Johnson. What the fuck happened to that guy? How does any team bench Chris Johnson for anybody? This is a crazy mixed up world this year in fantasy. Lucky for Jamie, Adam's team's so bad that even the Black C3PO is offended that he's associated with him.
Come on,
you can't be serious. Ain't this a bitch?
Alright, and finally we got the something or another's taking on beat Nate or die. Man, Colin went from beating Jamie to not even being projected to beat Nate. I spent entirely way too long staring at this matchup trying to find a way that I could justify Nate winning this match. I couldn't. And that's sad because Colin's starting a running back that's slated to score less than 2 points. If even a handful of Colin's guys can have a real day, Nate's done for. But if he doesn't, I'm going to mock Colin pretty much the entire year. And I've now got the film footage to do so.
Wrap it up. Wrap that shit up, dude.
Well, boys and girls, that's going to do it for us this week. Remember, next week we're not going to have a preview, but I will be back the week after that. If anybody wants to step in and do a guest preview, like I said, get with me. Talk to you later, guys.